Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to tie off and add more thread in Cellini spiral. Now, as you can imagine, this particular stitch does take a lot of thread, but I do want to share with you a couple little tips and tricks to getting it just right when you are tying off and adding that thread. Also, to make it easier and more enjoyable for yourself as you're doing your bead weaving. Okay, so if you take a look here, I'm going to come to the end where my thread is coming out. And you can see for this particular design here, those blue beads are my 8-0 seed beads. And then I have a row of gold and purple, and those are both 11 O's. And then that teal row in there is the 15 O's. So what I like to do is come to, and you can see I'm coming out of this gold bead. This is the second one there, and it's before I'm about to add another gold bead and come into this 8-0 seed bead here. Now what I like to do first is go underneath that little thread bridge that I'm kind of coming out there, create a little loop, and we're going to create a little knot, just like so, and just pull nice and snug, 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 snug. And then what we can do is we can go over one seed bead here into the blue one down here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come down and we're going to kind of repeat that. So we're going to go in between that next little thread bridge underneath and create that loop and pull tight. And now what I like to do is I'm going to actually go down, and I'm going to go down through that next seed bead that's just below it. So we're going to create a little bridge. And don't worry, you really won't see it right there. And then I'm going to go into that little gold bead right there. So now I'm kind of going down and I'm sort of reversing that spiral there. And then I'm going to go through one more. And now I'm going to turn that around and I'm going to go up through this blue bead here. I'm going to go backwards through this gold bead here. And I'm going to go forward through this purple bead here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and underneath, and I'm going to make a third knot by creating that little loop there and pull tight. So now that thread is super secure. But in order to keep my place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that gold bead right there. And at this point now is where I'm going to take my needle off. And the reason I like to do this is because when you look at this sort of a stitch, it's really easy to get lost of, oh shoot, what was the last bead that I added? So this way you know exactly where you need to add your thread and come out of that bead so that you're ready to add into your next bead here. So let's go ahead and do that. So don't cut this piece off just yet. We're going to come in with our FireLine. And I'm only going to cut off a little bit here because I'm almost to the end of my weave. All right. And you can use scissors or snips or a thread zap for this. I'm just going to cut mine off the spool there and set that aside. And let's go ahead and thread up our needle here. Now I recommend doing it in the same place that I am here because obviously that's what I like to do. If you do decide to do it in a different place, it will be the same sort of technique, though. Make sure you leave that tail. So now what I'm going to do is I have my needle threaded with my length of thread that I want to work with here. I'm going to kind of backtrack. So I'm going to kind of follow my beads and go back through here. And I'm going to go into and come up underneath just so that that tail is on the inside there and go through that first little green bead there. And I'm actually going to catch both that bead and that purple bead right there. So it's just the last little one. Now this one is not as, you don't have to worry too much about where you're going to come up with this bead. But I like to do this, and you can see that I'm just holding the tail end with my fingers out here because we're going to need to snap that off. So this kind of freely flows through there. But again, just kind of hold that. And now we're going to take our needle and go down through and catch that thread bridge, and we're going to create a little knot underneath, making sure all of our tails stay out of the way. And we want that little knot to fall right in between there. So give it a nice good tug. Kind of give it a little tug on both sides. And then you guessed it, we're going right through that purple bead. There we go. And we're just going to create another little knot. There we go. Make sure you're catching underneath that thread bridge. And going all the way down. Pull, pull, pull. And then we can go out our little gold bead here, right? So now we should be coming out exactly where our tail was right here. So you can see we have this kind of double strand coming out of those gold beads. So this is our tail, so we can kind of just hold that down there with our fingers. We can get that out of the way. And now we are ready to add in our next gold bead. So as we do Cellini spiral, we have our gold bead. We're going to skip over. We're going to go right into that 8-0, just like so. And now we are ready to continue. Now what I like to do is I like to add a couple of beads here. And then when I get back to my gold, as I'm going to go down into my purple here, I like to take this quick opportunity here to add one more little knot. So we're going to go down through and just add that right under there. But we're still coming out of that purple bead, so we're ready to add another purple bead. So this is just like how we do Cellini spiral, but again, as you work, it's great to just come out and be in that same place. Now, let's go ahead and take a second to zap off our little tails over here. So today I'm going to be using the thread zap. So you can just remove the little guard, the safety guard that comes with it. And if you've never used a thread zap before, here's how it works. You just press it up and you can see that tip heat up a little bit. And now what we're going to do is just come in and zap off our little threads, just making sure that we're just barely tapping it. So we want to just get these guys out of the way. All right. There we go. All right, so now we have our tails done. Make sure to put your safety guard back on. And now we can just continue weaving all the way around, and we have our brand new piece of thread. So that is how you would add more thread in Cellini spiral. Like I said, don't add too much at a time. You can see that I'm adding just a little bit because you'll end up kind of sitting there pulling it all through. If that's what you like, go for it. But this is how I like to do it. And that way you never lose your place when you are adding on that new thread. And it's a lovely way to do it. And it's a little less frustrating. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more tutorial videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com. And if you're new to our YouTube channel here, be sure to hit that subscribe button below to get all the latest from Beadaholique.